40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. You know I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. I'm only 40%. Go. 40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm Jinkx Monsoon, and welcome to a brand new episode of I'm 40% Podcast. With me, as always, is my co-host, the little shit, Nick Sahoya. He's my sometimes son. He's my full-time best friend.
That's a new sound on the soundboard, Mom. Do you hear it?
He's my occasional
a listener,
comedy
I think her name was
partner.
Camille, suggested this sound, so I put it on the thing.
And he's a full-time thorn in my side, Nick Sahoya.
It's when, do you remember when Bender, he turns human and they roll him around and he makes that noise? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite jokes. How's it feel to be 8 hours behind me? I'm in the future. This is very topical for our podcast because I'm in the UK, well, you see.
I feel like sort of cultural awareness-wise, you've been months behind me our whole life. So this is just kind of the opposite of that for a change. And it's interesting.
Bitch. We have a very special guest today. Star of TV, film, stand-up, and just an all-around gorgeous, hot person. And I'm not objectifying this person. That's literally, they won't shut up about how hot they are. It's Joel Kim Booster.
Hello.
Let me ask Joel, can I have my booster shot now?
Mama.
Get it?
Yeah.
Did you make that joke constantly?
I don't make the joke constantly, but about every grinder hookup I've ever had has.
How are you doing, Joel?
I'm doing fabulous, actually. I'm really happy to be here with you. It's so exciting to be talking to someone in the future. You know all the Drag Race spoilers ahead. It's amazing.
No. They Men in Blacked me after we filmed it.
No, you were severed. You were severed the entire time.
Severance,
you were on.
This is something you don't know about.
Exactly.
Because
this is the cultural
that
references. Yeah, behind that we were talking about earlier. You were severed the whole time you were competing.
I'll update it. They Men in Black 2'd me.
Okay.
They Rick and
Not
Morty
even Men in Black International.
Okay. They Rick and Morty me with the memory zapper.
No, we got him. Joel, we've been trying to get you on the show for a while. We're big Joel Kim Booster fans, and I asked you so many times I was worried I was nagging, and then we bumped into each other, and you assured me I wasn't.
Yeah,
but it kind of worked out. House?
At Akbar, so kind of.
Yeah, lateral move.
So it did work out, though, because we get to speak to you the day after the premiere of the trailer for your movie Fire Island.
Yeah.
And it looks so fun and gay. Do you want to talk to us a little about that?
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to know? It's a really exciting time for me, I guess. Like, it's the best part about it is I got to do a movie with my best friends.
Yeah, all the gays are there.
Yeah, it is like sort of my generation of gay comics. A couple of us are in there, me, Bowen Yang, Matt Rogers, and then the like icon herself, Margaret Cho, is also in the movie, which was huge for all of us. I think every single cast member had a moment with her on set where we took her aside and said, "You have no idea how much you mean to me." And she was like, "No, faggots have been telling me how much I mean to them for the last like 2 decades, so I get it." But no, she was lovely. It was I think, like, I don't know if I'll ever be happier than when I was making that movie. And I'm really excited for people to see it.
Yeah. Everyone go check out the trailer. It's on Hulu right next to your Futurama that you're watching already. You'll be able to watch Fire Island coming in when, Joel?
It's June 3rd on Hulu is when it drops.
Oh, Pride
Which is
Month.
also
Smart.
where you can watch Futurama.
Margaret Cho has been a guest on this podcast and my sister podcast, Hi Jinkx, which you've also been a guest on, JKB. I am one of those queer people who, I mean, I get nervous talking to Margaret in every context. When I'm in person with her, I can barely get words out. When I'm interviewing her, I like apologize profusely after everything that I say. She just has that effect on queer people who were raised. It's like I feel like I went to the Church of Margaret Cho growing up, just watching her comedy specials. So
absolutely. And it was so, I think the wildest part about working with her on this movie is there was no ego. Like, she was not a diva at all. And she would like constantly defer to me and like ask me for notes. And I was like, oh, Margaret Cho, you can do whatever the fuck you want in this scene. I mean, like, there is no note to give you. You just be Margaret Cho, and I think everyone will be happy. But yeah.
Are there any sizzling secrets you can tell us? Like any embarrassing sex scenes you had to film? Any like weird, like douching jokes that we can expect from the film? There's not enough douching jokes in gay media.
Wildly, I don't think there are any douching jokes in the movie. I will say one embarrassing sex scene thing that happened, which is unfortunately a scene that was cut, is there is another actor who gives me a blowjob in the pool in one scene, and we had like the intimacy coordinators. First of all, there are two like group sex scenes in the movie, and our intimacy coordinators on set were these two Australian women, and I have never seen two straight women understand the angles and the calculus of gay group sex more. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves about gay sex on film and television is so often I'm like, where do they think the penis is going? The way they have these two boys situated.
Oh my god, that rim job on White Lotus.
Yeah,
way too
that
high.
is crazy. There's a show called Industry where they have two men fully doing missionary in like the straight way. Like, there was just no way the penis was being inserted into a butt, and yet these women, like, they nailed it so well, and it was like so shocking to me. But there was a scene where Zane Phillips, who's an actor in the film, is giving me a blowjob in the pool, and I had to wear the sock. And she came over and she was like, "We're gonna put this washcloth on top of the sock as well." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm cool." I was like, "I don't care, you know, like I'm sending my nudes out with reckless abandon, like it's fine with me." And she looked at me in the eyes and she was like, "No, this is for Zane's comfort, not yours." so that he didn't have to be inches away from my penis. And I was like, "Oh, right. So yeah, unfortunately cut, but
Okay, first of all, underwater blowjobs, no, thank you. Second
It
of
only
all,
exists in cinema.
well, to be fair, he was in the pool. I was out of the pool. I was like sort of legs over.
Okay.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
was imagining a scuba mask.
No. Not, it wasn't
Second of all-
Showgirls.
Intimacy coordinator. I didn't even know that was a job. I have a new dream job in life. And third of all,
Yeah, no.
two Australian women. I just like, how can you take anything seriously with that accent? Like, we're going to make you wear this washcloth for Zane's comfortability in case you get a little bony there. We don't want any surprise bonies, so we're going to have this washcloth for discretion. I always lose it at the end anyway.
I like can't believe that intimacy coordinators are relatively new on sets, and I don't know how people dealt with sex scenes prior to having these people, because it really does, like, having that person there makes it more clinical and makes it less uncomfortable, because like she takes each person aside and she's like, what are you comfortable with, what are you not comfortable with, like how are you feeling? And then like on set they just like know, like also like putting a beach ball in between me and this guy that I'm fucking and like giving me so that I can like fully bounce in the way. It was like, I was like, what a genius like piece of technology, just a true like soccer ball. Unfortunately also a scene that was cut. But
they, in the
bonus
end,
features.
Yeah.
in the end they said, you know,
Director's
Joel,
cut.
your character's not going to have sex after all, so your character's now a virgin. I'm so happy I've never had to film a sex scene because I'm very nervous about. I'm what you call spring action. Like if someone says the word boner too many times, and then I have one. So I'm just glad this is not a full body podcast.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's the other thing about the intimacy coordinators is they make it so deeply unsexy that like you really don't like you're just not in that headspace. So it never even occurred to my penis to get hard.
It never even occurred to my penis. And trust me, we were checking in frequently throughout the day. Well, congratulations on everything. We can't wait to watch your sexless movie.
Fire Island, the movie, completely chaste. You can do it at your church lock-in.
Yeah,
just watch
everyone's
it overnight.
just reading on the beach. That's all.
Hand holding. But now let's talk about something significantly more sexy. It's Futurama. Take us away, Nick. Take us away, Calgon man.
Are you going to ask him if he's seen Futurama before? This is why you can't be the
wow.
producer. I'll handle the questioning. Joel, have you seen
Oh my
Futurama
God.
before? Is it a show you like?
Yes,
Oh
I've
my
seen. I
God.
think close to every episode of Futurama. It was a show. It was one of the only shows that my older brother and I both liked. And so I remember like I would get home at night and he was very much a homebody, and like it was the only thing that we could both sit in front of the television and enjoy and like laugh at. Because like it fits in terms of adult animation. It does slot in sort of interestingly between shows like it's not Family Guy. Like he really loved Family Guy, and I don't really love Family Guy. I love American Dad, weirdly, but I don't like Family Guy.
Oh, you and Jinkx can bond on this.
Yeah, I think American Dad is genius. I think, I think it's so much smarter than Family Guy ever was.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you.
And, I think once you finish with Futurama, you should move on to American Dad.
Well,
Yeah,
Baby, it's going to take us about
baby,
a decade.
I already done American Dad up and down all over this beloved planet of ours. Futurama is a good bonding show between, different demographics. There's something for everyone. I'm assuming, is your older brother straight?
No.
He
gay.
Oh, I was
He
just
gay.
thinking,
He's gay
he
and
likes
he's-
Family Guy, so.
No, yeah, I mean he's a much different, like we are a study in contrasts. Like he in every way, I think we are different breeds of gay in a big way. I don't think he would ever touch Drag Race. And I think I know so offensive. He's very much like boy man, bro.
Boy Man.
And
The Adventures of Boy Man.
Boy man. And he doesn't love like gay things, I don't think, except I think he is a furry, so there's that, but we don't intersect in our interests very much. We don't align, but Futurama is one of those interests that we do align on.
So
Furries
this
just
is
keep
a
coming up.
spoiler. This is a spoiler that the furry community is not represented in Fire Island, and therefore the movie should be canceled.
Furries just keep coming up week to week. I don't know, y'all.
I wonder why. Let's get into this episode. It's called The Deep South. There's no cold open. We have a chyron. It says, a stern warning of things to come. I think this is a great chyron. It's very meta. I give it 5 chyrons out of a possible 5 chyrons. Joel, how do you feel about the chyron?
I felt sort of, I was called stupid by the chyron because I didn't realize until just now the play on words in the chyron. So that chyron called me a stupid faggot.
Wait, what is the wordplay?
Because like stern boat.
But
they're all
they're
in
in
a
a
boat.
spaceship. But
But
it's
it becomes a
spaceship
boat.
But
No,
it
I think
becomes a
Joel's
boat.
onto something. We're
I feel
professional
okay.
comedians, Jinkx. Listen to us.
Yeah, comedy doesn't come up in my work at all. You're right.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think if we were asked the voting public right now, I don't know if either one of us would win in a horse race with Jinkx. But
use hashtag Stern equals boat or hashtag Jinkx is right, and we'll see which one gets more.
Listen. I get it. A stern warning of things to come. I would have rather. Okay, the only thing this Chiron does for me is it reminds me of the idea that I've had to get the words "abandon all hope, ye who enter here" tattooed above my ass, and that's barely related to the Chiron. So I'm gonna give this Chiron, I don't know, 3 Chirons out of 5.
Wow, really low. I was gonna say the Chirons have been trending upward for me, but Jinkx disagrees. We go to the Planet Express office. Leela's picking fleas off of Nibbler. Bender is picking fleas off of Fry. This is very random to me. And Hermes enters. He has requisitioned a pet license for Nibbler, but he accidentally got a fishing license. And it's mandatory.
I love that joke. Love it.
I do love this intro in the sense that it's like, we just need to get them fishing. That's the premise. Let's do it in 30 seconds.
Get them
Very
on the
economical.
ocean as quickly as possible.
Well, and this is why I think part of the reason I waited to I kept blowing you off to do the podcast is because I knew you were in the early seasons, and for me, like season 2 is when I think the show really like finds itself and finds its rhythm, and it allows itself to be a little bit more random like this. Like because the first season is a little more plotty. Than the
and we
later
got to meet all
seasons
those
are.
characters.
Yeah, and they've all sort of settled into themselves at this point in a fun way.
Well, isn't the rule that season 2 of any show is the best season of any show franchise? Isn't that like a common conception?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think season 3 is very good as well. Futurama season 3, except for the first episode of season 3 feels completely optional. But we're not there yet.
What
so.
season? What season does the dog happen? You know which episode I'm talking about.
I think this is an interesting question, Joel, because in my box sets, my Futurama box sets, it was season 4, but on Hulu, it's season 5. So at some point, they changed the seasons.
I'll also complain for a second because you told me this was episode 2, or season 2, episode 12. On Hulu, it's episode 16.
It is?
Yeah.
Well, I might have just texted you wrong.
I was really fucking confused. I was sitting in my bed and I said, "What the fuck am I supposed to be doing?" I was Googling. I felt gaslit.
So I guess
didn't know what to
neither
do.
of us should be producers, huh?
That could be Hulu's fault. It might have just been me. I might have texted you the wrong number. They are in international waters. So Bender does kind of a Miami Vice drug deal. It's implied that it's drugs. We don't know for sure, but
could be anything.
It's kind of an 80s speedboat. It seems pretty druggy to me.
I just don't know enough about drug deals. Like, I mean, I was so pampered in Seattle. My dealer lived 2 floors up.
I wouldn't call that situation pampered. That was a real... No offense to if he's listening, but he was a handful.
Don't dox him.
I'm sorry.
But...
He lived in apartment 420, Joel. He literally lived in apartment 420. And we can bleep his name if we have to, but
it was great because you go up to his apartment and he would throw back these curtains and he'd have like a bookshelf, like an apothecary of all these different kinds of weed. And whether you wanted to hear it all or not, he told you every single strain he had. And he also would then give you a lesson about queer history in Seattle. So I don't know how much of that you heard. Sorry for everyone listening right now. My Wi-Fi's terrible in Newcastle. Blame it on the Brits. We're moving on.
There's the ongoing joke of, I once caught a fish this big. Bender has long arms, so he can lie more. Leela owns her own harpoon, and she's very proud of it. And I think, I don't know, fishing with a harpoon on the ocean is a bold choice. It
also, Leela gets, I think my favorite joke of the episode is the escalation of her catching a boot and then the catching 10 pairs of boots.
Whatever it is, it's 20 times heavier than a boot.
Yeah. It's
Boot,
so silly.
pair.
And it's such a classic little escalation. And I love it so much.
And the rule of threes gives us her catching a boot, but something alive is attached to it, and it's Zoidberg, and he's eating the boot.
I wasn't. You don't even wear boots. I was eating it. Zoidberg has a good journey on this episode, I will say. I mean, it's still very Zoidberg-y, but
He's disgusting, and they hate him so much in this episode. At one point, Hermes calls him it. He says, "It's eating my bait. This is your coworker."
well,
I love it when he makes the Three Stooges noises. He is such a Three Stooges character, and
he's all Three Stooges. I love when he, it actually seems for a moment that he's going to be helpful. He's like, I'm a connoisseur of bait. Let me tell you about the bait you have here. But then he just starts eating it all. Then he calls the night crawlers dry, but then immediately says, though they may be juicy, what's he getting at here? Zoidberg has this chance to actually impress us, and he completely falls off immediately. My heart breaks for Zoidberg. I think maybe I'm starting to relate to Zoidberg more.
Zoidberg is such a trope, the trope of the useless doctor, the doctor actually being the dumbest character. It's true in Archer, it's true in 30 Rock. I feel maybe it's just those two, but it just
maybe
feels
it's just those two.
Yeah, maybe it's just these three examples that I can pull, but I do feel like there's more. But I do love that. I love the idea because knowing many especially gay doctors myself,
gay
who
doctors.
are clowns and useless in their own special ways. It feels true to life. Zoidberg should be canonically gay.
Joel, did you write on other two?
Did
you write on season 2? Did you write about the gay doctor on that?
Not
or he's
on
not a
season
gay
2.
doctor. He's just a hot doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
I wasn't on season 2. I was on season 1.
There was a dumb doctor on that, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know you wrote on the other two, but to anyone who's worked on the other two that I get to say this to, I make sure to say, thank you for the representation of foot fetish in the queer community. I mean, I have never felt so seen by a TV show than the constant, almost the constant inundation of foot. I think the other two is responsible for foot fetishes becoming a mainstream kink.
I think that's a 1-to-1. No, I agree with this.
Absolutely. And I hope we create the kink. I hope we colonize people's the young people watching the other two. I hope we created a new generation of foot fetishists.
There's a part where Zoidberg, there's fish pheromones, and it gets sprayed on the professor's head, and a bunch of sea creatures attached to his head, and he shakes them off, but then Zoidberg comes up all horny and sucks on the professor's head. And I remember
so into you.
I remember that was a preview on Adult Swim. That was the clip they used to be hey, watch this show.
I love that.
I just love the professor's reaction that he doesn't freak out. It's not a gay scare moment. He just goes, "Oh my."
Yeah. It's very
kind
porny.
of enjoying it. Yeah.
That's a very porny conceit,
it might
a spray
feel
that can
good.
make a straight guy gay. I love that. I'm into that. That's my foot fetish.
Bender takes a beach umbrella that Amy is using and turns it into a giant fishing hook because he decides he wants to not catch a big fish. And he attaches it to the diamond filaments.
Can I just say really quickly, in watching, because I watched a couple more episodes just because I was into, it broke my Futurama seal, and I was like, oh, let me watch a few more episodes. Amy is such a nothing character unless Amy is the A plot.
Yes.
If they're not using Amy in the A plot, there is nothing to Amy, and it's so upsetting to me as an Asian American that they could not find something more interesting for Amy to do in a lot of these episodes.
Yeah, even Hermes usually gets more to do, as far as the sort of side characters go.
They do often make Amy one-dimensional when she's not the A-plot, and that is a very astute observation.
Observation.
I just don't know. I don't often get what the game, like the comedic game of Amy is. Like with Hermes and with Zoidberg and with a lot of the ancillary characters, like I get like what the joke is, but with her, it's just like sort of vaguely like she's rich and like
it changes episode to episode because sometimes she's a ditz, but then she's also like getting her master's or like her PhD or whatever.
Yeah. What's consistent about Amy is she is there to challenge Leela's femininity.
Yeah.
Like when Leela pulls all the boots up, Amy, this is what I was going to say, is Amy oftentimes has great one-liners, even if she's one-dimensional. But Leela pulls up the boots and Amy says, this is where you buy your boots. This is where you get your boots.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, I do want to recognize the fact that I'm not watching as an Asian American, so it's not up to me to decide how well Amy is represented in this cartoon show.
Did they do some interesting stuff with her, like with her parents? Like often when the parents come in and it is the A plot, it's just like I wish she were funnier, I guess. I don't know. I can't quite.
Well, how did you feel when she got sunburned and Bender wrote a thing on her back that also somehow got sunburned even though she was asleep?
Couldn't relate. Never. Didn't see myself represented in that sunburn.
So Bender's hook attached to the diamond filament against all odds catches a huge fish and it pulls them underwater. I want to say one thing. I tried very hard to get a person from Atlanta to be the guest on this episode. Violet Chachki was at Coachella. Bob was busy. Bitch
Violet
was busy.
didn't even read the text.
She was at Coachella. She used all her international minutes, just like you did. But then I was surprised to learn that we don't
this year
in Atlanta.
I know, but it's in a different state of mind, Jinkx. I was shocked when I realized that like 75% of this episode is not in the lost city of Atlanta. Like we take a very long time to get there. So I guess it's okay. Joel, have you been to Atlanta? Have you spent any time there?
I have many times, and mostly my actual favorite joke of the episode is the Delta Hub jokes, because I love that airport and I'm a Delta girl. The house down boots.
I'm a Delta
diamond
girl as
medallion
well.
Fish. Okay,
Thank you.
And so I spend a lot of time traversing through the Atlanta airport, and I love it. I've slept outside the Coach store in the Atlanta airport overnight before. It's one of the greatest.
At the Atlanta airport, I have actually paid for 2 hours in one of those napping rooms where it's just a bed and a TV. I love a travel sleep deprivation nap in one of those little pods. It's kind of the best sleep I've ever had in my life.
I love doing shit like that at the airports. I have done that once. It's so luxurious. I've also showered in the Delta Lounge many times, which I find to be like
I have not
deeply
done that.
sexual.
That leads me to an important question. You're a cruisy gay. We know this about you. Have you ever hooked up at the Atlanta airport?
I've never hooked up at the Atlanta airport, but I will tell you what did happen at the Atlanta airport. I was sitting, taking a shit. Okay. And I look down, the man in the stall next to me suddenly, and I have a picture of this. I see his hand on the ground, like sort of encroaching onto my side of the stall, and he's wearing a full wedding ring. You can see in the picture. And then suddenly I see his little tiny face pop into my side of the stall. And I freak the fuck out. I say, "What are you doing?" And then he freaks out. And I'm like, also, like, this is probably the least sexy moment you could possibly choose to do this at. So then I like rush out of the bathroom. I see like a random friend from Chicago that I haven't seen in years. And I say, "You'll never guess what happened to me." And I tell her this. And the best part about this story, it was Mother's Day. So
we all have our ways of celebrating.
I've been cruised at the Atlanta airport, but I've never actually hooked up there, unfortunately.
I have not cruised at the Atlanta airport, but I have hooked up in a Delta Sky Lounge. I met someone on Grindr. I had a long layover. He didn't have a membership, so we split the cost of bringing a guest in because I didn't have that benefit at the time of getting a free guest. And we hooked up in a Sky Lounge bathroom. And then afterwards, we drank orange juice together. And he said, "This has been a crazy month for me. This week it's Jinkx. Last week it was," and he named another Rue girl, but I'm not going to spill her tea.
Wow.
But what I will say is this is probably, I think this is 1 in like 6 times that someone I've hooked up with has told me they hooked up with the same girl the week before.
I know who it is.
Wild.
This sister of mine and I have similar taste, and we must be playing musical chairs in these cities. So
this unfortunately has happened with me and Bowen a couple of times as well. You don't have to bleep. I will air his dirty laundry out. But yeah, unfortunately, we are Eskimo sisters many times over.
They're going underwater now. There's a joke about atmospheres that I enjoy. There's a joke about atmospheres that I enjoy where he's like, it's over 1,000 atmospheres of pressure. And they say, how many can this sustain? And he says, well, it's a spaceship, so I'd say anywhere between 0 and 1. And they fix it. Go ahead.
No, go for it. No, you go
I want
ahead.
you to talk.
You
no,
on a
you
roll.
go. No, you go.
Mine can wait.
And Fry fixes it by flushing the toilet, but he didn't even realize. He just wanted to go pee.
Realize it. Early on, they addressed the fact that they're not going to be able to figure out all the science related to the to the spaceship going that far underwater. You know, I think Bender has a line like the laws of science are a harsh mistress, and then throughout the episode, basically they just kind of write off actually trying to make it make any kind of scientific sense, which I think is good for an episode that takes place under the sea with mermaids from Atlanta.
There's cannibalism talk. Hermes wants to eat Zoidberg. And that's the one I would eat, probably.
It's not cannibalism,
Is that cannibalism, though?
It's not. It's
not a different species. You are eating a sentient humanoid. So
yeah,
it's
and we haven't gotten to the
adjacent.
episode that deals with that yet.
Leela and Bender and Zoidberg, they go out looking for food. No, wait, that's not right.
No, it's
Leela sends Bender and Zoidberg, and this I liked because it made me feel like they were the X-Men, because Bender and Lobster Man can both go underwater
without being affected. But then
like only 2 people on the X-Men team can go into space and still be able to breathe. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, or like only Garnet can go into molten lava.
There you go.
I love that Fry says, I should go too. They don't know what I like. I mean, there's foraging for survival food, but Fry is still a picky eater, and that reminded me a lot of Nick.
Yeah, that is me. I would be fine on Survivor. I would just be like, I'm good. I don't want it. You know what? Coconut, it's too mealy for me. I'm just gonna, I'll just be hungry today. They go underwater and they have to take these pills, these enormous pills to adjust to the pressure. And Fry says that's too big to fit in my mouth. And the professor says, good news.
Been there.
It's a suppository.
And been there as well.
I've never had to take a suppository. I've put a lot of things up my butt, but never a suppository.
Okay, here's what I'll tell you.
I have also not.
If you can track down THC suppositories, if you have any sort of soreness or fissures or hemorrhoids or anything like that, THC suppositories are miracle drugs. Like, truly, if you are someone who ever deals with anything, even if you're not bottoming and you just have like a hemorrhoid or something like that, they literally, THC is a miracle drug.
Do bottoms
especially when
get
it's applied.
hemorrhoids more often?
I don't know. I don't think so. I myself, like I would say about 30% of the reason I'm verse is that I'm fissure prone, and you know, so I like.
They call you Carrie Fisher. That's your drag name.
But the one of the things that
Gordon
works best. But yeah, THC suppositories, check them out. You can also CBD suppositories are more readily available, and they also work pretty well, but the THC ones are better. Yeah, no, to me CBD is like Advil. Like I'm just like it also takes a psychotic amount of weed to make me feel high anymore. So
So putting it up your butt is the best way.
Well, it doesn't get you high. I should say that too. You can't metabolize weed by boofing it. So there is no high from it. It is just like a topical, like it relaxes the muscle and sort of, yeah. So
we are learning so much. We're learning about simulated sex in film. We're learning about THC suppositories and hemorrhoids. I'm starting to wonder, like, maybe I was just born to bottom because I don't deal with half the things you've been talking about.
No, I will. Like, my current boyfriend is a bottom, and so I like the amount of times I've bottomed in the last year have been sort of statistically insignificant, and I have to say it's much easier on this side of the fence. This is the thing. It's actually much hard. The act of topping is much harder than bottoming, I would say. Like, it just takes a lot more physical exertion. It does. But there's less prep. Like, getting into it is easier. Or maybe at least the way I do it.
I think it all depends on, who's involved. Because, like, as a bossy bottom who has sex regularly with a lazy top, the work is happening from my end. But I did recently see a meme that's it said tops and bottoms 1 hour before the hookup, and it's like the top is napping peacefully in bed, and the bottom, it was a picture of I can't even remember, but it was something about douching, whatever.
Hilarious.
I know.
Recounting,
That's why I'm not a professional comedian like the two of you. Sorry, I'm not a chuckle.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
They do go out there underwater and stuff. Zoidberg moves into a shell. Does he like chase another crab away? He does something like that, but he moves into a shell, and we get this recurring joke of Zoidberg becoming a homemaker on the ocean floor. And I really like this life for him. I'm sad that it doesn't work out. Spoiler alert.
It kind of seems like this could be Zoidberg's, place to shine, like Zoidberg could thrive down here if he just played his cards right. But because Zoidberg and Bender go into the shell together, which apparently has a staircase that they have to go down, and this is moments after Bender saying the laws of science are a harsh mistress, and then they go down into the conch shell. And then Fry meets Umbriel, the mermaid, and there's no other witnesses. But I do love that Fry is at first walking around with a garbage bag full of oxygen and a crazy straw.
Yeah. What if it got snagged on something? Big problem. Let's just opening thoughts on Umbriel. What do we think of her look? What do we think of her vibe?
I like her.
Too hot for Fry. This is my main problem with most of the heterosexual couples that I see on television and in movies and in any kind of media is it's like, really? This woman wants this man? What a world. What a world heterosexual men live in.
It's wild, but I will say, Joel, I would say 75% of the beautiful drag queens who come on the show do want to have sex with Fry.
Really?
So, yes. The remaining 25 want to fuck Leela, which I'm also fascinated by.
Yeah, I mean, that makes more sense to me.
I mean, she's hotter.
Honestly, Hermes makes more sense to me. Hermes in that Speedo this episode, I was like, okay.
Okay, Hermes. But what Fry has going for him is that he is exotic to Umbriel because he has legs. He's from the land. Fair. And like think of how many times you've probably slept with someone just because they have something.
An accent. Oh my god.
An accent.
The way I grade British guys on a much different scale than I do American guys. Like I have hooked up with some Yeah, some British guys that, if they didn't have the accent, probably would not have hooked up with them. It's sad. It's sad. I'm such a cliche.
I'm just over British accents now because I spend so much time in the UK and I married a Brit, but Italian accents still really do it for me.
I'll take a New Zealand
There's something
accent.
about the hand motions that really
I'll take a New Zealand accent. I like my sexual partners to be like a full cartoon character.
Yeah.
I feel like New Zealand brings me there. They're literally called Kiwis. They don't seem like people sometimes. I'm sorry, New Zealand listeners.
That's...
I know. I feel like I just called Dr. Zoidberg it. I feel bad about that one. No one believes Fry met a mermaid. They say it's ocean madness. Fry says, every time something good happens to me, you all say it's some kind of madness. This made me think of Jinkx. And they all actually go out to the seafloor.
You do often say that I have some kind of madness when I'm talking about something very legitimate. This reminds me about the time I saw Wanda Sykes. You all told me I was...
Okay, we're not relitigating this. We've already talked about this on the show. Umbriel wakes up Fry from his sleep. She knocks on the porthole, and Fry goes out there and starts hanging out with her. She gives him a breather, which is a thing that lets him talk underwater just so that we can, I don't know, have jokes underwater. And they go on a series of dates. They go hang out by like a Mariana Trench vent. They, I don't know. What else do they do? I wrote it down.
Okay, well, there's the recurring joke.
There's the pee jokes.
Yeah, the recurring pee joke. Now, I have really mixed feelings about the pee joke. I like it the first time when she says, just let the gentle ocean currents calm your every muscle, or something to that effect. And then she says, did it just get warmer? When Fry lets out a big sigh of relief. But then when they're at the thermal vent and she says, did it just get colder? I get it that if the liquid coming out of Fry is colder than the thermal vent liquid, she would feel that. But then I'm also like, wouldn't the thermal vent liquid heat it up so quickly that it wouldn't actually feel colder? I don't think the joke works there.
But I think the rule of threes makes it worth it, because when Zoidberg is sniffing for Fry, he says, over there where the water gets warmer.
Water gets warmer. But then he goes,
pretty funny to me.
But for me, the best part of this series of jokes is when Zoidberg goes this way. I don't know why it's so funny to me that Zoidberg's eating Fry's pee to find him. I like it. I like it.
Another Jinkx fetish being revealed on this episode.
I actually don't have a piss fetish. Thank you.
It's fine if you do.
Not that there's anything wrong with a piss fetish. I'm just saying that's not one of mine. I literally have two kinks, and it's feet and armpits, and that's it. Besides that, I'm vanilla. I'm like French vanilla. I got the little specks. I got the little specks going on. I'm
I don't want to hear about your
vanilla.
specs.
I'm vanilla bean.
My favorite joke of the episode is when the mermaid Umbriel is talking to Fry, and she says, tell me more about this bizarre landy world that you come from. Is there water there too? Fry says, yeah, sometimes it falls from the sky. And she's like, And he says, sometimes it doesn't. And she's like, oh, Mr. Fry.
Mr. Fry, you do go on. I
That's my
say you
favorite.
do go on to people all the time because of this episode. My favorite joke comes right after is when he says, Umbriel, I love that you think I'm interesting, even when I'm not lying about being a stuntman or taming a lion tamer or whatever he says. And then she says, lions? You have sea lions on the land? Yeah, we call them land sea lions. I tame them. Very good writing there.
Very good writing. Very stupid joke. They go out looking for Fry. The professor's like, did you all take your suppositories? And Amy says, yes, stop asking, which I really liked. And we finally get the central joke of the episode, and they find what appears to be the lost city of Atlantis. It's like a old Roman column. But as they wipe off the moss, we see it's Atlanta, and then a hillbilly mermaid says, howdy, y'all.
Which I have to say, this is the thing about, I know they listen, I know they had to do this because of jokes and cartoon and everything like that. But Atlanta, like, people don't have strong, like, hillbilly accents in Atlanta.
This is like an Appalachian accent that they're doing. I don't know how this got conflated.
It's because all the Harvard, New York writers were like, let's do an episode about Atlanta, those slack-jawed hillbilly yokels.
Yeah.
So we get a little glimpse at this lost city of Atlanta, and it's very fun. The head of the city is Umbriel's father, the Colonel, a blatant Colonel Sanders parody. And I think, Jinkx, this is probably your favorite part of the episode. The
tourism video?
Yes, tourism video.
It is my favorite part of the episode.
Why don't you break it down for us?
Well, so the tourism video explains that because Atlanta kept overdeveloping their Delta hub, the city got so heavy that it started to sink.
Well, they put it out in the ocean first because they thought that would increase tourism.
Yes, they put it out in the ocean, and then the city starts to sink, and all of the Atlantans of note abandon Atlanta to save themselves. And it's Ted Turner.
Do you have the list? I have the list.
No. Yeah, tell us the list.
The quality people who escaped on a boat were Ted Turner, Hank Aaron, Jeff Foxworthy, the guy who invented Coca-Cola, the magician, and also Jane Fonda was there.
And then the video ends.
She hops on the boat.
The fact that I love the magician.
This is my favorite part of the episode.
It's so stupid.
I love that they throw in the magician, but then I love the 1-2 punch of then the video ends and Leela immediately goes, the magician?
The magician.
Because it's fun, because we don't know what's weird to them. It's the future. Calling out the absurd is a good comedy beat.
The magician? I think about that all the time. Leela's voice going, the magician? Okay.
We get a further tour of Atlanta. This is really only the last 5 minutes of the episode, so there's not much to say. But they're basically like at a cotillion, and the Planet Express crew decides to leave, and Fry announces he will be staying underwater. But the professor says, if you stay underwater, you have to stay here forever because of how the pressure pills work.
Because of how the pressure pills work, because I don't know, if there's a pill that can help you survive underwater, doesn't it stand to reason that the professor could just as easily create another pill that would reacclimate Fry? And also, what's the time length on these pills? I don't know, but we're not worrying about the science in this episode. That would require some sort of
re-beginning, Ray. The concept is so ridiculous. Simpsons. Fry won't visit Dr. Zoidberg, even though he is also staying underwater. He lives on the end of town, but the Colonel is like, nope, can't do it. We gotta get you into the country club.
Which is good social commentary. I like this satire here.
So they get back to the Planet Express ship, and Bender's house has burned down, which is puzzling because it's at the bottom of the ocean. And Bender says,
it was my cigar that started the fire. And then Hermes goes, that just raises further questions. One of my favorite lines from all Futurama. We've got two of my favorite lines of all Futurama. The magician and that just raises further questions.
They go to the boudoir to consummate their relationship, and they realize that they are not sexually compatible. Which, I don't know, they probably should have seen coming. But this does bring me to a question. Have you ever really hit it off with someone, and then when you got to the bedroom, or I don't know, wherever you were having sex, you just realize, uh-oh, this is no good?
It kind of reminded me of, sleeping with people who are on heavy SSRIs is, having been someone who was once on heavy SSRIs, and the ways that affects what happens in the bedroom. It kind of reminded me of that, where it's just kind of like you're all ready to go, and then something just physically gets in the way, like the loss of an erection, or...
I will say, as someone who is on a lot of medication, I literally only take, like, I straight up told my psychologist, I was like, I will not take anything that affects my sex life. So that's why I'm on Wellbutrin and the antipsychotic that I'm on, because I was like, I will not gain weight and I will not not have sex. I will not have sex.
Laura Dern. Laura Dern? Laura Dern.
Yeah, Laura Dern.
Great. I don't
Check
have
out
a specific
Wellbutrin.
story, but I will say this is why I'm an advocate for fucking on the first date. Like, just figure it out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to go to like 4 dinners and then be like, oopsie, this is a non-starter. Just
Well, Nick, you
honestly,
and I
fuck
both...
before dinner. Grinder hookup, and then if it works out, then you become...
Absolutely.
You
No,
and I are
fuck
both-
before dinner always. Always,
Yeah.
always. Why would you want to have fuck while you're like feeling bloated and full? Like,
With
why
my
would you
current
want
partner, when we're having like a not an out and about date, but a like hanging out on the couch date, he's like, oh, let's order dinner. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but we have to have sex like now. And then
Because
after...
I'm not going to want it after the
and then-
curry.
Every single time it comes 20 minutes earlier than it's supposed to, and I have to stop and like put on pants and go out and get the food. It's a nightmare.
Oh, see, that's why I'm so glad my boyfriend has a buzzer system that like we just give the guy the door code, and so it's leave at the door, honey. Leave it at the door,
Yeah.
and then as soon as we come, like you open up that door and the subway has arrived. That's right. I said subway.
What's your sandwich, Joel?
Italian
What's your
BMT.
go-to?
Italian BMT with a bag of Lay's sprinkled on top.
Okay, yes, I love Subway, and I'm not ashamed
I
to
used to
admit
give
it.
her a lot of shit for postmating Subway to our house in San Francisco.
But I just want to clarify something. I hate it when people say like, food from different cultures gives them diarrhea. When I made the joke about curry, it's because curry makes me sleepy. Curry has never given me diarrhea, and I will not add to that trope. So I'm sorry that I even said it. I could have said any food in the world, but I was thinking about how sleepy I get whenever I eat curry.
There was a Kimmy Schmidt
After my
joke.
chicken tikka masala.
There was a Kimmy Schmidt joke about pad thai giving you diarrhea, and I was like, when has that ever happened to anyone?
It doesn't
Yeah.
happen to anyone.
It's
That
such
sounds
a mild
very
food.
personal.
Mexican food doesn't give me diarrhea. I can't think of a specific food that gives me diarrhea, but also my stomach is a tank, so I don't know.
I can think of specific restaurants that will cause me problems.
Yeah,
not
I was going to
specific-
say, unfortunately, Taco Bell does. And when I eat a lot of movie theater food, I will get sort of sick in that way. But that's my own fault for getting full meals at the movie theater.
I just wanted to clarify I'm not adding to the stupid, played out, tired ass joke of making, saying that like foods from certain cultures give you diarrhea. It just is probably that you're eating such bland, white bread, boring, stupid mayonnaise sandwich food that your body can't handle it because you literally don't know how to eat. So get out there, explore, and then talk about your diarrhea.
And this is actually your central platform for your presidential run, right? This is what you're going to be talking about as you tour the country, trying to drum up votes.
Listen, I'm not going to blame your food for my diarrhea, and that's why I want to be your president.
They have modified the ship to work underwater by replacing the engine with a...
No, but while Fry's running away, I just when he yells, "Why couldn't she have been the opposite kind of mermaid with the fish parts on top and the human parts on bottom?" Why does he think that's going to be better?
I mean,
Maybe he's not into kissing. Some people aren't.
couldn't be.
They adjust the ship to work underwater by replacing the engine with a little flappy fishtail, which I enjoyed. And Fry is able to get there just in time. He attaches himself to the parasol hook. He then gets eaten by the fish. Bender wins a reward for getting the biggest fish, and it
Turns out Fry was the best bait of all.
Yeah. And then he falls out of the fish, and Bender, he didn't win the record after all. It's a good episode. It kind of ends
start
on
a
a
tussle,
dud.
but then Zoidberg opens the gills of the fish like Venetian blinds and says, "Could you be quiet?"
I think this is a really good episode, but the beginning and the end, I think they were just like, just finish it. I don't care.
Get them in the ocean and then get them back out. We don't need to really overthink this.
Yeah, I do feel like they could have mined a little bit more about Atlanta. Like, I think they could have built out that world a little bit more, but I do largely think, like, it was funny and good, and I enjoyed myself.
What I love about this episode is that they don't always have to go into outer space to meet different kinds of folk. You know, sometimes all you have to do is go 30,000 leagues under the sea and you'll have a whole new adventure you never expected.
It's
beautiful. Much like the Animorphs book where they go underwater and they find out that like mermaid people live under there. And it's like, they're already talking to all these crazy aliens from space. Did we really need the mermaid people? And they're like collecting sunken ships. It's a very weird book.
My favorite thing about this episode
Joel,
is
you fuck with Animorphs?
No, I don't fuck with Animorphs. That is disgusting. What they do is disgusting.
My favorite thing about this episode is that they depict fishing as boring. So thank you. There's nothing fun about fishing. Go to hell, dads of the world. I'm not going to pretend like that's fun.
Jinkx, shall we go into the final segment? Shall we?
Hey, let me ask you something.
Joel Kim Booster, as a celebrated slut, I'm excited to ask you these questions. First, the tame question. Who of the cast of Futurama do you most identify with?
I think, unfortunately, I think it would be Leela. Like, I
Why
identify.
Unfortunately?
Well, because I feel like it's like sort of it is the like obvious, like people want, this is the thing. Like, I don't know that everyone would agree with me that I should identify with Leela, because I think people want, myself included, want to be identified with Leela because she's smart and capable and like sort of, you know, the best one in terms of like, if you had to meet one of these people in real life, you would want to meet Leela. And so like, in thinking about it, that's Leela for me. That's who it is for me. But, you know, feel free to disagree. Sound off in the comments.
If there was like, you know how we meet Flexo? So there's other bending units that are very similar to Bender, but like have some key differences. If there was a super gay Bender, I would say that would be Joel Kim Booster.
Because Bender, he likes to party, he likes to drink, he's a womanizer. If you turn that character gay, that's Joel Kim Booster.
Absolutely.
Very strong.
I'm just kind of thinking of like how Joel's been hilarious in this episode, but has also had an air of like, when is this going to be over?
No, absolutely not.
Oh.
Joel, your next question is, of the entire cast of Futurama, who would you do?
I can't remember the character's name, and this is odd because of the parallels here, but Zap Brannigan's lieutenant.
Kif.
Yeah.
Kif, yes. Who, I mean, wildly does end up with the Asian character in the show. But I always found Kif, there's something about Kif.
You're not the only one who loves Kif. I think as far as settling down with someone, Kif is... Actually, no. Kif wouldn't be right for me because he's too overbearing. But he does have a lot of qualities that would make him a good partner. If he was willing to go to couples counseling.
I feel like people would initially like fuck Zap, you know, and then like get that over with, and then like realize after one time fucking Zap that they're like, oh no, Kif is the one you want to be with.
Yeah.
Sort of like Jinkx and this mystery queen who she shares trade with.
You'll never know the answer.
It's Monet Exchange.
Actually, Monet and I have shared a lot
I
of
literally
trade,
thought that's who you were talking about, so I guess we don't have to bleep it.
No, I know that Monet's talked openly about us sharing trade before, so we don't have to bleep that one. But so the final question, I think you've already answered it earlier in the episode, but for the sake of continuity, now that you've watched this episode of Futurama, will you be watching more? And will you be watching the new season when it comes out?
Yeah, it's really like easy breezy watch, and it's very nostalgic for me. And I like it. Just the autoplay feature really is. It is one of those shows where you can just let it run, and there's something very comforting about how much of it there is. Like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'll never be finished with this. So it's like nice and just like into the void I go with Futurama.
Yeah, I hear you with the amount, because like if I start a Golden Girls binge, I'm like I have to treasure these. I have to space this out and ration them, because there's only 5 seasons and the last one's kind of weird.
During the pandemic, I was happy for any show that had, countless seasons, because I just needed something to be on constantly. That's why I watched Wings. Didn't care for Wings. Wings, the only reason I liked Wings is it reminded me of Provincetown. But Wings was just on in the background. But the Provincetown airport is Wings. Anyway, then I'm on the last season of Everybody Loves Raymond, and Ben de la Creme is very mad at me about this. But there's 9
Ben
seasons.
and I agree on this one. Can you do an impression of that tall guy?
Everybody loves no, I can't. But but my favorite line in the whole show, Everybody Loves Raymond, is when Doris Roberts goes, "There's gonna be more fruit." He gets her Fruit of the Month club, and she goes, "There's gonna be more fruit next month, not more pears. What am I gonna do with all these pears? I can't think. There's too much fruit in the house." And she runs out of the room. It's good. It's good writing. I like it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joel, any bad sitcoms you like?
Not bad, but I think I've watched Frasier all the way through a couple times now, and I
think
feel
we could
like
call that a
Me
bad
too.
sitcom.
I love it.
I think Frasier is every episode of Frasier is a perfectly structured 3-act play. Like it is like farce. It is so good. I mean, it makes me laugh.
I'm in the minority with the Frasier hate. I think it's just because I lived in Seattle and I know that view's not possible. It's geographically impossible, and I can't get over it.
That is true. They do make Seattle seem too much like New York and Frasier. That's my complaint.
Yeah.
But the episodes where it's like a Moliere farce,
yes,
the episodes
when they're like
of the
throwing a
mistaken
party
identity,
and people are running into the kitchen to like cover something up, and then like like it's so like just the spinning of the plates, like Frasier trying to keep all the plates in the air, sort of with whatever he's lied about that episode is so fun.
And then there's this episode eventually where the episode begins at the end of one of their disastrous parties, and everyone's going crazy, and someone's just put out a fire, and someone looks all disheveled, and then Martin, the dad, comes into the room and goes, "Hello, everybody, I'm the Duke." And that's how the episode starts.
Jinx sent me this clip, and I did laugh at this. It was pretty funny. Joel, you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for indulging us. Everyone,
thank you for putting up with my bad Wi-Fi.
I blame Newcastle, babe. I don't blame you.
Thank you.
We've got Fire Island coming up, but you've got some TV stuff too?
June is a big month. My Netflix special comes out June 21st.
Yay.
And then I'm on an Apple TV show called Loot with Maya Rudolph and MJ Rodriguez that comes out June 24th.
That sounds great.
If you're into me, June is going to be a huge month for you, babe.
All right, everybody, set your calendar reminders for June. Jinx, do you want to take us out?
I just want to say, also just look up Joel Kim Booster on IMDb, because he's been in countless things.
Oh, you were so good in Shrill. That's one of my favorite Joel Kim Booster roles.
Oh, thank you.
Plenty of them are really, really good shows, and a lot of them are too short-lived for how good they were. So I just want to celebrate your career, congratulate you on everything you've already done, and say how excited I am for the future of Joel Kim Booster.
Thank you.
You can also find him on Grindr near you.
See you in the Delta Hub, everybody.
Thank you all for listening to this episode of I'm 40% Podcast. Thanks to our special guest, Joel Kim Booster. Catch us next Monday with a brand new episode of I'm 40% Podcast. Have a futuristic day, everybody.
Wow.